Hey guys, my name is Emine and I've had the huge honor of being able to do this video for Lada's audience. I'm super excited about it. This is huge for me. I'm a huge fan of Lada. And what I'm going to share with you today is something that's been amazing for my own life and that I use with clients a lot. I think it's one of the keys to that we all need to unlock when it comes to astrology and our birth chart. So Jupiter, we all know that Jupiter is like it's our luck, it's our flow, it's our abundance, and we all have it somewhere in our chart. So what I've found is wherever your Jupiter is of course where you naturally have flow and where things naturally are, where you're naturally wise, where money naturally will flow to you. The problem, however, is that some of us have Jupiter in a very awkward position, or we have difficult aspects. And so what I want to do on this video today, I want to help you not only to see what where your Jupiter is, but also to show you what are the different manifestations of Jupiter in every house, so that you will know how to turn like a negative manifestation of Jupiter into a positive one. So if you're not seeing the money flowing in, this is the video for you, okay? I've had this problem myself, having Jupiter in the 8th house. So what I'm going to talk about is something that actually works. Okay, and some Jupiter placements are more trickier than others. So if you have Jupiter in the 4th, 8th or 12th house, and even 6th house, this video is gonna be, it might be a life changer for you. Okay, it was for me. So Jupiter is our luck, it's our growth, it's our wisdom, it's where the universe just wants to give to us and where we're happy to share it with others. Okay, this is where we're naturally gifted. Okay. And Jupiter has some inner manifestations and some outer manifestations. Okay, so the inner ones are the wisdom, the insight, the enlightenment, and the external manifestations are money and abundance in material form, you know. So you might have a Jupiter that's actually manifesting, but it's manifesting only the inner manifestations. So you're getting all this wisdom and insights, but you're not getting the actual money. If that happened to you, raise your hand, because I'm one of those people. And it also, Jupiter can also have, although it's like mostly a positive influence, it can also have a negative manifestations. So I'm going to go through that. So a negative manifestation could be excess of any kind, like when it's too much of something, or it's too much of something that isn't very good, because Jupiter is abundant. So we're going to go through how you're going to do, or what you need to do in order to get the positive manifestations of Jupiter. And what I'm going to say applies not only to your natal chart, it's most important for your natal chart, but it's also valid for your progress chart. It's also valid for your transits and synastry. Okay, so if you know that you have a partner who places their Jupiter in your 5th house or whatever house, then that applies here too. Okay, so let's get right into it. So the 1st house, if you have Jupiter in the 1st house, natally, progressed, transit, synastry, whatever. If you got Jupiter in the 1st house, your natural luck and your abundance comes from yourself. Okay, so you create your own luck. And it can also be something related to your appearance. It can be something related to your outlook on life, new environments, new project, any new beginning that you start. I had a client who had this, and she was actually a beauty blogger. So she was naturally lucky when it came to her appearance, when it came to her own projects, stuff that she herself leads. She was also very good at starting she actually moved to a new place, so she's doing really well where she is. So anything new environments, her own projects, all of those things are really positive. So with Jupiter in the first house, you make your own luck. So you're a naturally abundant, lucky person. So yeah, you need to be aware of that. So whatever you do, whatever your whatever your line of job is, whatever business you're in, know that the abundance from the universe is like based on you, on your outlook on life. And for the second house, it's assets, material assets, and a sense of confidence and security, like self-esteem. So if you're having any negative manifestation or you're having difficulties with money when you have Jupiter in the second house, first of all, you are an amazing worker. People with Jupiter in the second house, or if you have it by transit or whatever, these people work really, really hard, and they're really a positive asset to their work environments. So they have fantastic talents. However, even if sometimes their incomes might not be as high as you would expect with Jupiter in the second house, but they could actually make, I know a person, someone in my family who has this placement, who may not have had a very good salary, but they earned a lot of money through investments in real estate. So they invested in apartments. So they got apartments for a really, really good price. They were really lucky with that. And then they sold it to a very good profit. So Jupiter is where your luck is. Okay, so if you have Jupiter in the second house, you're going to be lucky with assets in general. Property, you can buy valuables for a good price. You can sell them to a good profit. Also, your willingness to work hard, because you're similar to the first house, your luck sort of comes from yourself, but for you, it comes from your efforts. So your personal efforts. So what you do personally, the effort that you personally put in is what's going to get you lucky. So when you put the effort in, you get it back. And for the third house, this is interesting because so many celebrities have Jupiter in the third house. The third house is any kind of communication, social media, mass media, but it's also our skills and talents. So here's where you find people who have like multiple skills, like they can dance and sing and act, and they know all these things, and they're very good at promoting themselves, and they're very good at handling different types of people. So if you have Jupiter in the third house, your best bet is to work, incorporate in whatever line of work you're in, incorporate media or promoting or sales, or contact with like masses of people, different kinds of people, and your talents. So your luck is in in how talented you are, the skills that you've got, whatever you're good at doing, your practical skills. Yeah, I like so many celebrities have that placement. Yeah. So for fourth house, I know someone with that placement actually, and this person, they have a lot of houses actually. This is really funny because they have like a lot of homes, and they always they're very lucky, and they have a huge family too. But if you have the Jupiter in the fourth house, it's a tricky one. It's a mixed bag because fourth house is it's a water house, so it's emotional, and emotions are below the surface, so they don't manifest as easily. But on the other hand, it's not a deeply emotional house. So and what I think is great about it, I'm a Taurus, so what I think is great about it is that you can work from home. So anything to do with the home, families, your heritage, your mothers in general, families in general, homes in general, are going to be lucky for you. So whatever you do, if you can work from home, that's going to be really, really lucky for you. Like no matter what you're doing, when you're at home, that's when you're lucky. That's when you're in flow. So and that's when you're feeling most optimistic and abundant, and that's when you attract the most wealth. So if you can work from home, that would be great. And this person that I know that has Jupiter in the fourth house, they are actually, they used to build houses, and now they work from home, and they got like a huge family. So for fifth house, if you have this transit or natally or whatever, it's to do with romantic relationships, creativity, art, and children. So you might profit from any sort of creative endeavor, your artwork, or even relationships. Like you might be like a dating coach or something, like, so you can actually benefit from pleasures. So if you're, for example, in the entertainment industry, like for Leos, I think, for Leos, you have a Jupiter transit in your fifth house right now. So it's really great for entertainment and for making money off of your creative interests. And sixth house, this is a tricky one, because sixth house is the house of it's the house of inequality and stress and responsibilities and the service that we give to others. So it's tricky because with Jupiter there, it's like Jupiter is in a house that's a little that's not a comfortable house in general, so Jupiter expands all the something that's already tough. So with that might come like some insight into like routines and stress and health and stuff like that. So what you need to do in order to get the most out of your Jupiter there and to really activate the monetary aspects of Jupiter is to work in some way related to service. Service is very good. Any kind of service that you give or receive. So if your boss delegates, if you have people that can give you service, that can really be profitable for you. Health, pets, animals. I've seen animal rights and stuff like that would be, it's a very sixth house thing. So related to animals, it could also be related to like stress in general or health in general, or like health ailments or routines in general, or scheduling, or you could be one of those coaches and stuff like that. So sixth house, get into some kind of service. That's when you're really gonna shine, and also that's what's gonna bring in the money. Because I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the thing is, if you don't consciously choose the positive expressions of your Jupiter, what's going to happen is that it's just going to flow into a not so comfortable negative manifestation. So in the sixth house, that could be like having lots of stresses, But with Jupiter, you're going to be able to handle it. But it's still gonna be, it also like expands it. So you're gonna just have like lots of stresses to deal with, unless you purposely choose to express the positive aspects of Jupiter in the sixth house. So service, stuff like that, delegate, or you could be self-employed working there, because that means you give service to your customers or your clients, and or you could be self-employed and employ have employees and stuff. Seventh house, that's a comfortable place for Jupiter. So with seventh house, you actually, I just did a reading today with someone who had that placement, and so these people are great with any kind of one-on-one contact. So these people are great at any kind of client work, or any kind of work where you have to deal with a differing of interests, like trying to mediate, or trying to come to a happy medium with something. So working with people in general, having clients in general, having customers in general, or working with partnering up with somebody in general is going to be lucky. Marriage and divorce is lucky. So these could be like divorce attorneys, stuff like that. Even, you know, they can make money off of these things, you know. Um, yeah, so for the seventh house, you really have to team up with somebody, because you have a natural talent for knowing who's a good partner to team up with for whatever business venture or whatever you're doing. Partner up with somebody. That's where you're lucky. That's where the money's coming in. That's where your flow is. And eighth house. Now, this is my placement. And so this is why anything in the eighth house is super sensitive, okay? That's why I'm so into this, because I have Jupiter in the eighth house. Eighth house, with like anything in the eighth house is super sensitive to us, and it's likely a source of trauma. So for me, that meant I had a money related trauma, you know? So with Jupiter there, what it gives you is like insight into stuff like astrology. So it's a very common placement for many of us who are into this. And it gives you an interest in the occult subject. But being a water house and being like it tends to have it tends to manifest in the inner manifestations of Jupiter, which is like wisdom and insight rather than actual money, you know. So the eighth house is the house of transformations, trauma, psychology, occult knowledge. So if you work with what's lucky for you is working with these subjects, like get into psychology or get into occult subjects, which is what I chose to do, and which is what Lada chose to do. And you know, it's a great, as you can see, it's a great choice. You know, it's perfect. It's what she was supposed to do. You know, that's where her wisdom is. What you can also do is work with anything, because eighth house is where we have our vulnerabilities, and where it's the house of trust. Okay, so anything to do with where anything that requires a certain amount of trust. So that could be like in psychology when you have clients and they need to have some level of like faith and trust and confidence in you in order to actually get somewhere with therapy. With eighth house, it's also very good if you will really benefit from having some kind of like transformation or therapy related to your attitude to money. Okay, because there's likely a trauma there to do with money. So if you can work on that psychologically, that's going to be really beneficial for you. But to cut this short, because this is my favorite house and it's the astrology house, so I needed to make that clear. I'm sure a lot of you have this placement. Or if you don't have Jupiter there, I'm sure you have like a stellium or a sun or whatever, because it's the astrology house. So get into anything to do with occult subjects. Another thing with eighth house is also like finance, you know. So people who aren't interested in the occult subjects or psychology, they tend to go into finance, because this is also the house of the like shared resources. So being like into hedge funds or like the finance industry, whatever. I don't know the details of that industry, but that's also an eighth house thing. So you could get into that. Or for example, if you start a business, do it with like a few trusted people. That's going to be more beneficial to you rather than having just your own business. Also like intimate relationships. So you could benefit from like people that trust you and people that you trust. But if you want to make your own money, it's to do with occult subjects, psychology, depth, trauma. So you would have like a lot of insight into your own and other people's trauma, and you can really help people with that. So there's definitely a gift there for helping other people with their trauma. So that's an area where you could really flourish. Ninth house is the house of the law and for foreign travels, foreign cultures, religion. So I know somebody who has their Jupiter there, and they work in, they're a lawyer, they have a foreign spouse, and they're very religious. So, but it can also give you very good morals, and it's generally a very, very lucky house for Jupiter. So you wouldn't generally see a lot of problems manifesting money when you have Jupiter in that house. But if you do find that you have trouble manifesting actual money, then anything related to distant places, distant cultures, law, faith, spirituality, but spirituality in the sense of like philosophy, or like the more theoretical, the intellectual side of spirituality, like learning about the different spiritual traditions, for example, having the knowledge, as well as law, obviously, the legal profession, and working in foreign places. So working abroad could be very, very beneficial for you. With the 10th house, now that's just a lucky place. For if you have Jupiter in the 10th house, congratulations, that's super lucky, because that means that that authority figures will have a good you're good with authority figures. They respect you, and you're respected in general. You would be a great boss yourself, so climbing the corporate ladder would come easier to you. It would flow easier for you. So that's where you're naturally lucky. So your social reputation and your professional reputation is generally lucky. So I wouldn't expect to see a lot of problems there, but what you can also do is, Jupiter being the planet of wisdom and of teaching and of enlightenment, one thing that it could mean, maybe for you, is that you might be an authority in wisdom, or some kind of faith, or some kind of inspiration, or something like that. And if you have it in transit, it will be a great time to be recognized for what you know. So recognized for your wisdom. So 11th house. The 11th house is the house of social causes and networks, and also like specialty areas, like areas of expertise. And I know of a famous politician. He's a local politician, but he's known for his Nazi and racist views. And that's a social cause, even though it benefits hardly anybody in society. It's still considered a social cause. So now he's an extreme example, but so I'm not saying that that's something common for people with that in the 11th house. It's not, it's just one example. But generally what it can give you is recognition in a social cause, or like a social cause, like a cause that's bigger than you, that's to do with society and to do with certain values, and something that is very specific and niche, rather than just being a politician in general. It's about being recognized for a specific cause, like being the leader of a specific cause, so you would benefit from leadership in causes and in groups of friends. And so you have a talent for getting people to sort of gather around a specific idea. So that's where your talent is, and that's where your abundance is going to come from. That's where you're going to be naturally lucky. So go for it. Don't deny what the universe gave you, what your talent is. So I really think that our Jupiter is what we're supposed to share with the world, because Jupiter is, by its nature, is really generous. So it's where we feel abundant and where we're happy to share. So I really feel like it's in our nature to share whatever our Jupiter is. And for the 12th house, this one I've experienced by not transit, transit too, but I've experienced this with synastry very recently. So I needed help with some areas that I didn't know very much about, and it was sort of scary to me. So there was some knowledge that I didn't have. And so a friend of mine who had this knowledge, they didn't teach me much, but they just put me at ease. They were like, don't worry about it. It's you're gonna ace it. Don't worry. It's like it's not so difficult. And they gave me like an overall more optimistic view on life. So with the 12th house, it's to do with like the 12th house is completely subconscious, and it's one of those water houses that's it's related to Pisces. So the 12th house is in its nature very very unclear, and it's the stage where we're it's like where we've let go. So it also represents like death in a way, like letting go, or like taking a step back from the world, So with Jupiter in the 12th house, you could benefit from anything related to sleep, actually. You could benefit from a client of mine who had this. She was working with in a delivery room. You can also benefit from, you would also be really lucky in working with any type of institution like hospitals, prisons, retreats, rehab centers, or anything like faith related, or meditation, or retreats in general, like places far away, or any way that you're sort of away from society. So it could also mean like literally working from home could be very beneficial to you, because 12th house is also like when we're chilling and we're just taking a step back from everything. And so 12th house could be that too. So if you have that placement and you're sort of struggling with manifesting the actual tangible parts of Jupiter, then I would suggest try going home, chilling, and doing your work from there. Just be away from everything and do your work from there and see how that goes. Because why I'm saying this is because your chart really doesn't lie. If you have Jupiter placed somewhere, that means in that specific place you will have luck. You will be abundant. Now, having said that, Jupiter can manifest, as I said, in inner ways or outer tangible ways. Okay? So if it's not manifesting in the right way, that's why I'm trying to give you the actual tangible ways that you can make your Jupiter manifest in a tangible way. Okay? Because wherever your Jupiter is, it has to manifest. If it doesn't manifest in a tangible way, that means it's definitely manifesting in terms of wisdom and insight. But you can choose to do that in a tangible way, okay? As long as you work with the area where your Jupiter is. So, and also you've got the negative and the positive manifestations. So if you're getting the negatives, which is more of a problem in, for example, I'm sorry, my throat. So that's more of a problem in like the 6th house or 8th house. So if you have Jupiter there, you might get a lot of the negatives, like, because Jupiter just gives you an abundance of the problems of the 6th and 8th house. Not necessarily more than others, actually, because I have Jupiter in the 8th house. It doesn't mean that I have more problems and traumas than other people. It's just that I'm super aware of them. I'm totally aware of what's going on, and I will dive into it and I will find out what's going on, and I'll really immerse myself into it, whereas another person might just like deny it and try to like move on from it. It's still gonna affect them, it's just that they don't want to delve into it, whereas I will delve into it and I will like make it my mission to understand what the hell is going on. But so having said that, so Jupiter in the 6th and 8th house doesn't necessarily manifest in like positive ways just because it's Jupiter. So that's why, again, I want to give you these tools so that you know how to, knowing where your Jupiter is, consciously pick the manifestations of it that are tangible. tangible and positive. And there's a range that you can choose from. So for me, it was astrology. And it has been like investments, for example, 8th house. So investments has been at times very good for me. And for 6th house, it's definitely service and routines and stuff like that. So when you choose these things consciously, that's what I call the inner remedies, which is what I work with, the inner remedies, because the chart is already showing you what you got to work with. Okay, it's showing you what your talents are and how the universe is going to respond to you. Your chart is telling you if you got a Uranus placement, that wherever your Uranus is, you're going to cause a problem if you don't get your freedom. If you don't get your freedom and independence, you're going to cause a problem. So, your chart is telling you that. So don't be surprised when it happens. So just make sure you get your freedom. Make sure you do have your independence there. Make sure you do have all the requirements of Uranus, which is like genius and wanting to get ahead and all of that, so that you won't have the problems. Okay, so I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I really hope that this helps. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I hope that I could put across all the things that I wanted to convey to you. Try it for yourself. It works. It really works. So just try it, apply what I'm saying, and get back to me. Let me know how it works out for you. Thank you, and thank you for listening. It's a huge honor for me to be here. I'm a huge fan of Lada, so I'm super happy to be here, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bless you all.